Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Welcome to Intern Insights, where interns give their unique takes and angles on Georgia high school sports. My name is Reggie Graham. To my left is P. Rizzi. On my right is Will Fizzle. And today, we're going to look forward towards spring sports, where we're going to focus on rule changes, coaching changes, and some other changes that leaves people and teams with a lot of big shoes to fill. And also, we'll take a moment to look at some student athletes who are looking to lead their team to a state championship. But first, I want to talk with you, Pilar, about baseball, because they removed 7A, so now you have new matchups, you have new regions, and so teams like, let's say, Louds, Parkview Christian, or Prince Avenue, North Cobb Christian, they all want a three-peat, right?
Harlem High School also is going for the three-peat. They went back-to-back in 3A. You mentioned Prince Avenue. What's interesting there, and we'll get into that later, is they actually have a new head coach. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get that program, their three-peat. They're actually sitting #1 on Hayden's Class A to 3A private preseason rankings, which you can check out on scoreatl.com.
Okay, but we can't forget about Loganville, though.
Can't forget about powerhouse Loganville. They're going for their 4th straight consecutive title. And, you know, guys, it's very clear that this program has pretty much owned Class 5A since 2017. I think 2021 they fell short to Stars Mill, but other than that, they've dominated the last 5+ years.
Okay, but how are they looking talent-wise this year? Because if they've had this kind of perennial success, they've got to be looking to fill in some holes.
Yeah, they definitely lost a few seniors. I know Jalen Johnson, he's at Western Carolina now. A very versatile player, Region 8 5A Player of the Year, as well as a member of the 400 Club Metro Atlanta All-Star team at Truist Park. So that'll definitely be a loss for Loganville, but, you know, the team is stacked. I know the class of 2025 has a lot of talent. Outfielder Tanner Morneau, right-handed pitcher Ethan Garrett, and two-way Matt Levinson. Those 3 guys are committed to some good collegiate programs as well, so that'll be fun to watch. Juniors Jake Bolin and Jordan Johnson are also key members of that roster. So once again, Loganville will be an exciting program to follow. But, you know, that's it for baseball now. We'll get into some coaching changes and rule changes in a bit. But for now, Will, fill us in on lacrosse. What's the latest?
Yeah, so actually, if you pay attention to the rankings, especially across the boys and the girls, you'll see a lot of familiar names popping up. But first things first, we're going to pay attention to the boys. So the reigning champion Wesleyan, right now they actually defeated their rival Westminster, and they're currently leading the way in our preseason rankings in Division 1. Now Allatuna's coming up in at #2, and we can't forget about Blessed Trinity, ranked at the 3rd place spot. They've won 2 championships in the past 6 years. Now moving on to Division 2, we have Roswell, and they're eyeing that three-peat. And just below them is going to be the rankings that we have for Lassiter. They're #2. Their last championship was in 2017.
Now, right. Didn't they make it to the 3rd round of the playoffs last year?
Well, that they did, funny enough. But what ended up happening is, unfortunately, Blessed Trinity, at least unfortunately for them, of course, I'm not picky, but Blessed Trinity defeated them in that round. Now, the 3rd spot, we do have Benedictine as well, and no doubt they're looking to make some noise this year. Now moving on, finally in Division 3, we have reigning champion Buford. They're actually coming off the heels of their very first state title, looking up to keep their momentum rolling into this next year. The state runner-up Lambert is eyeing a return to state championship. And this time I'm sure they're hoping to finish the job, but we cannot sleep on Walton in that 3rd place spot. Now, here's the deal. They've won 2 titles, one in 2019 and one in 2011, and I'm sure they're looking to reach that pinnacle once again.
I gotta ask, what's the girls' side looking like?
Well, I'm actually glad you asked. So, as I mentioned, you know, the familiar names, just like their male counterparts, you have Wesleyan at the top of the division. Now, Westminster is right there on their heels, actually gave them a challenge in the state title game, but in the 3rd place spot, we do have Stars Mill. Now, the clear favorite in Division 2 is Milton. The Lady Eagles are seeking their 18th title in 20 years, and as dominant as they've been, it's really hard to bet against them. And in the 2nd place behind them, we do have Roswell, and coming up in 3rd is going to be Creekview. Now, in Division 3, the top rank does go to the state runner-up, West Forsyth. And so the funny thing about that is that they are the runner-up. And so what's interesting about that scenario is they were defeated by Milton, right? And so that's why we consider them to be ranked as high as we do, because Milton is such a powerhouse team that in this new division for West Forsyth, I'm sure they have a chip on their shoulder. I'm sure that they want to make sure that they put their mark on this new division. Now, in second place, we do have Walton, and finally coming in third place, we have North Gwinnett. So at the end of the day, you can always head over to scoreatl.com if you want to look at the complete top 10 rankings for every division. Now, another sport that I've been hearing about lately is going to be riflery. So, Reggie, I know you're an Army guy, 7 years in the military, right? It seems like it's right up your alley. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was really interested in watching them and seeing how they prepare. I wanted to see different things that they did, how they got in there. Did they wear crazy goggles, night vision goggles, red dot sight, you know? I was just curious to see what they did. But no, it's old-fashioned riflery right on the range. Mm-hmm. And looking at Reggie's rankings, mind you, Reggie's rankings make sure we take care of the teams that won in the past. Right?
Of course.
Those are the dogs. You got to knock off the dogs to get put on the list.
Hey,
okay?
I hear you.
So looking at Camden County, they're number 1. You got Tallulah Falls, they're number 2, and East Coweta, they're number 3. But one team to look out for, it's Statesboro. Well, Statesboro has probably the best rifler in the state. Well, her name is Caitlin Sullivan, and she defeated last year's state champion, and now she's looking to win her second state championship. Now, it's all possible that the same thing can happen to her that she did to someone else.
Sure.
But, I mean, when you hear these accolades that I'm about to rip off, man, you're going to be surprised, okay? Number 1, she is, of course, trying to get into the Olympics. Now, I say of course because when I tell you that she's this good, you're going to understand and you're going to kind of get it. In 2023, she was ranked 24th in the nation, and her ranking was not just compared to other high school students, but her ranking was to high school, college, and adults, and plus some other Olympians as well.
Now, if I'm doing my math right, 2023, she would have been what, 16?
15, 16.
So you're telling me before she's like a pro, driving on the road, before she's experienced doing that, she's competing against grown adults for an Olympic spot. That's what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you, man.
All right.
Matter of fact, she came in first place in the National 3-position Air Rifle Junior Olympics. And the crazy thing about that is she placed 13th overall in that competition. As I said, she's done great things. She's getting ready for the Olympics. You might see her in the Olympics here pretty soon, coming out of Statesboro, being a Blue Devil. But you're going to see her at Ole Miss come this fall.
Okay. All right.
All right. I guess we're going to take a break. Since everybody's looking at me, now I'm looking at you. And you sit down, and we'll be right back.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Welcome back to Intern Insights right here on Score ATL. And my name is Reggie Graham. And one thing that I want to talk about here and kind of get into the weeds of is gymnastics, right? Gymnastics is a sport that, frankly, is very interesting if you attend it or if you watch it. And everybody's not into it. But gymnastics, I enjoy it, and it's a really cool thing. Matter of fact, if you haven't already, visit our website at scoreatl.com, where Hayden Gilbert wrote a great article previewing the upcoming season. And one player that he focused on was Hannah Aoki from Oconee County. Now, Hannah She won state championship last year. She'll be returning now for her senior year, looking to repeat as the individual state championship. And of course, she's going to North Carolina. What's I don't know what to say.
The Tar Heels have a great gymnastics program, I believe.
They do. But there's actually another kid that's going to a big school and it's from right here in the state of Georgia. He's going to Georgia, and his name is Maurice Gleaton Jr., right? Now, if you haven't heard of this kid, you need to check him out, because at the end of the day, he ran a 10.14 in the 100 meter, and when he was only a sophomore at that. So this year, it's going to be his senior season. He'll be one of those key pieces for Langston Hughes in their attempt at, continuing their dominance in track. They're going for a three-peat. Now, here's the thing, though. They do have a lot of talent to replace, because out of those 11 best and most influential players in their state runs, they have 2 that they're actually left. Like, the rest are gone, all 9 of them. So there's a lot of spots left to replace, and those 2 spots, of course, are held by Maurice Gleaton, and then the second spot is held by Martavius Griffin.
Another player I'd like to spotlight is senior right-handed pitcher at Powerhouse Heritage High, Addie Edwards. She was named the 2023-2024 Gatorade Georgia Softball Player of the Year. And, she was actually the first player from her high school to win this prestigious honor. So that's a pretty big deal, guys. But when you look at her stats, I mean, she dominated the mound with a perfect 22-0 record. She posted an incredible 0.15 ERA. She struck out 230 batters while allowing just 15 walks in 138 innings. And over 4 tournament games, she racked up 35 strikeouts in 23 innings and surrendered only 2 earned runs. So that's a girl that's going to be fun to watch. It's her final high school season. She's committed to Northeast Alabama Community College, and she's a big part of the success that comes from that program. I mean, they just added another title to their impressive collection of 5 state championships and 11 regional championships. So yeah, that'll be exciting. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back to talk about more standout player performances and some recent coaching changes after the break. So stick around.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Welcome back to Intern Insights. We'll be discussing some more player spotlights and some recent coaching changes. On the girls' varsity soccer side, Hayden put together an excellent recap and preview into the upcoming season with rankings from each class for the top 10 teams. So be sure to check out scoreatl.com. So be sure to check out scoreatl.com to get the latest on that. Looking at Class A, Division I, Padilla snagged the title last year, so they're actually ranked number 5 on Hayden's rankings. And while that victory marked their 4th championship, it was their first since 2013. So guys, it had been a minute.
Didn't they have a girl on their team, Olivia Colby?
Yes, Olivia Colby. She actually scored a hat trick in that championship game, and that girl has a laundry list of accolades. She was the 2024 Player of the Year, had a spot on the 2024 Girls Soccer All-State team. She was honored as the Uber Team Player of the Match by NFHS and named to the All-Region team by the Georgia High School Soccer Association. So as the Pythons look to defend their state title, Colby is definitely one to watch, and she'll be a key member of that roster. At the helm, Padilla has head coach Brittany Jones, who has experience at the college, coaching in Division I, Division II, and at the JUCO level. She's been with Padea for 4 years now, I believe, and she's also the head of soccer there. So it'll be fun to see what she continues to do with that program.
Well, that actually reminded me, I hadn't seen any coaching changes lately, but in track, there was one last year. It actually resulted in a state championship, and not just a state championship. It was Carrollton's 29th state championship. Now, what's cool about him is he joined the staff immediately and made an impact, and his name is Justin Jones. So his impact on their staff was able to bring them back to the pinnacle after having not won anything since 2021. So that was really cool to see.
Baseball also has a few, too. I know we discussed Prince Avenue in our first segment, but they're the back-to-back Class A Division I champions, and they're welcoming Doug Jones. So Doug had a lengthy career at Gwinnett and at Mill Creek, and then he retired in 2024. So now he's with Prince Avenue, and it'll be interesting to see if he can get them the three-peat, but I'm sure his experience, his expertise will be a great addition to that program.
And Lanier County, they have a new coach, right?
Yes, Lanier County. They have Matt White taking over for John White. No, they are not related,
sure.
But Lanier County is a great program. I mean, they snagged the Class A Division II title last season.
Yeah, they were really good.
Oh, also Colquitt County, they have a new head coach in Ryan Strickland, but this is actually not his first rodeo with the program. He had a short stint as an assistant coach and then retired in 2015. So he's back. I know last season, Brandon Brock, head coach, he retired in March. So that head coach position was open for a while. So I'm glad they were able to fill those shoes.
Yeah, there's not that many coaching changes normally in the spring sports, so it's good that they had some and good that we were able to cover it.
Exactly. Hopefully Strickland can help them improve on their 10-11 record from last year.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back talking about some rule changes.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
And welcome back to Intern Insights. My name is Will Fields, and we're going to talk a little bit more about rule changes now. So one thing that we know about rule changes is, sometimes they're a big deal, sometimes they're a small deal. Sometimes coaches like them and the players like them. Sometimes the coaches don't like them and the players definitely don't like them. So here's the deal, right? I had the privilege of talking to Coach Godby, and he had a couple of thoughts about some of these rule changes. One of the main things that he wanted to say to me was that the ones that they really do all seem to support are going to be ones that involve safety. But the reality is there's other rule changes that aren't directly related to that, right? So one rule change that he mentioned that he did like was the fact that they are now stopping the clock inside of 1 minute when there's a foul in a critical scoring area. So here's the issue. The way that it worked last year was the clock did not stop. So if a team was getting ready to score, the defense could foul them and the clock could run out and they could just take a penalty shot or force the team to use a timeout to stop the clock.
And what happens if they don't have a timeout?
If they don't have a timeout, they're out of luck, basically. Wow. So, yeah.
I guess that was a rule that needed to be changed.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the reality of the situation is it made it completely unfair for the team that was trailing, because if they had a shot at tying up the game, then all the other team really had to do was just foul them and let the clock run out. So that definitely changed the things up a little bit. Another rule that seems to be a little bit more seen as negative by these coaches is the horizontal stick call. So here's the way that works. The rules right now are kind of skewed in the favor of the offense.
Like every other sport?
Yes, like every other sport. But this one is just a tad egregious, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
They allow very, very little room for error among the defenders. The horizontal stick might not actually be even a hard call. So really all it takes is, as a defender, holding your stick horizontally and just touching the other person.
So what's the benefit of a defender holding the stick horizontally? How does that help them?
Well, I mean, in reality, as you mentioned, most sports give kind of an advantage to the offensive player, and just being in the offensive position is a position that gives you advantage. Why? Because you're the one that's making the move toward the score. The defense has to react to you, right? So on top of that, imagine the other player is faster than you, right? Quicker than you. They can change direction faster than you. Being able to hold your stick sideways and give them a quick check can help keep them in front of you and, allow you better position to defend your goal. But now with this rule, unfortunately, I don't see how they can defend, especially a faster player, but any player, to be honest with you. So that's, to me, why this rule is viewed negatively among coaches.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, it's going to happen, though, right? So I do want to get to a direct quote from Coach Godby. So he says, most coaches also do not like the change from halves to quarters. This change took 2 minutes out of the game, and the clock is also now stopped only in the final minute instead of in the final 2 minutes. And so I'm not sure why they are trying to reduce the time of play in games and opportunities for players to play more, but we will make adjustments as we need to, like always. So these are Coach Godby's words. Now, all I have to say about it is this is a great program. It's a program that's constantly winning. They've got 18 championships out of the last 20 years. So, of course,
they'll figure it out.
They're going to figure it out. But for all the other coaches, they got to do the same thing, right? At the end of the day, regardless of whether you agree with the rules, you are required to follow them, and you're required to make adjustments. You're required to, frankly, change your game plan when you need to change your game plan.
And as a coach, that's part of your responsibility.
Absolutely.
Speaking of coaches, baseball had 2 recent rule changes. I don't know how coaches are going to feel about this first one, but basically if a player or coach gets ejected and refuses to leave the field, the team automatically forfeits. So initially it was just the player who would have to leave the field, but now coaches are being held to the same standard, which I feel like shouldn't even be in question. What do you guys think?
I mean, honestly, when any rule like this comes up, it usually comes off the back of something happening.
Right.
But I'm just trying to figure out which one of these coaches out there somewhere refused to leave the field.
Well,
right. Like just grab the clipboard and go.
I'll tell you from the point of view of a coach, and I never want to leave the field. I don't care how many flags you throw or how many times you try to kick me out.
I get the want, but the refusal is what I'm stuck on. You're supposed to be an example for these young athletes. Like, this is school we're talking about. This isn't some professional team where it's grown men and women. These are kids. And you're basically saying, screw the rules, I'm going to stay here. And so, yeah, I can definitely see why putting this rule into practice is necessary, but I don't know why it had to be written down somewhere.
Right. I agree. On the bat front now, non-wood bats are allowed to have game-enhancing substances like pine tar, like wood bats themselves, as long as the application stays 18 inches within the knob. So that's similar, if not identical, to Major League Baseball. And then also for softball, there's a new communication rule where the catcher can have an earpiece, a smartwatch, or an electric band to receive instructions from their coach in the dugout. And the only limitation is that this is a one-sided communication, so only the coach can communicate via the smartwatch or earpiece. Again, we see this at the collegiate and professional level, so it'll be interesting to see how these high school programs implement these rules.
You know what else would be interesting? Whenever it comes to football.
For a quarterback to have an earpiece, yep.
Right?
Yep.
They do it in college, they do it in pros.
I agree. I also think if one high school sport's going to implement a professional or collegiate rule, then all the sports might as well.
Correct, yeah. So before we get out of here, I don't want to get out of here without mentioning tennis. And so let's talk a little bit about tennis. I'm looking at, once again, Reggie's tennis rankings, because once again, if you're a top dog, you stay a top dog. And specifically, let's talk about the boys' tennis rankings. There you see Lambert, who was in 7A last year, won the championship, and they moved down to 6A. Johns Creek was staying where they are. Everything's looking good, but if you go to Class A Division I, you see Darlington and Landmark Christian. Thing is, they both were in different divisions last year, and they both won their first ever title. So now it's like, which one of you guys going to go back to back, right? And
Figure it out.
We're going to find out. But so I put them there, and I tied them up, and I put them there together, and I will let them figure it out.
Let the dogs fight.
And going to girls, now girls is even crazier. We'll start with Class A Division I, where we have Wesleyan, you have Mount Vernon, and you have Brantley County. Now, Wesleyan was in 3A last year. Brantley County was in 2A last year, and Mount Vernon is or was where they are right now. But the problem is Wesleyan won 3 state championships in a row in 3A. Brantley won their first state championship. Mount Vernon won their first state championship. So Wesleyan coming in from a higher division, you wonder, do they have a bit of an advantage? Are they coming in? Are they going to just take over? Are they going to go 4 in a row? Or one of these other teams going to step up?
I mean, the reality of the situation is when it comes down to bigger schools, all that means is that they have more talent to pull from. That does not mean that they have better talent. You see small schools with studs all over the place, right? So just because they came from a higher division doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come down to a lower one and run everything.
So if I go over to 4A and look at what happened in 4A, you got a team like Marist, who was in 6A last year. You got Northview, who was in 5A last year. And, of course, you got Westminster, who was still in 4A. And they all won championships. Now they're all in the same division. Now I feel like Marist has a chance to kind of take over there. But we will see. We don't know. And I think that's pretty interesting. Another thing that's very interesting that GSA wants to talk about is UTR. So UTR is a new thing that they want to do here in Georgia. They do it in other states. You can find it in college. You can find it in pros. It's a universal tennis ranking. Basically, it allows each individual player to be ranked as opposed to just the team rankings. Because once you get past high school and go into college and professional, for the people that make it professional, everything's individual. So how about now you start ranking yourself, and it can really help you get recruited. You can get coaching and things like that set up. And so they want to get the teams in there. They want to get the players to be involved. And so all you have to do if you're interested in this, and once again, it's not mandatory, but it's something that they really want people to and teams to be a part of and see if they like it. If you are interested in it, or if you want more information about it, just scan this QR code on the screen, and you'll basically get all the information you need. You'll learn how to sign up. You'll learn what it does for you, how it can help you, and the different things that you can do to be a part of it. And, well, that looks like it's it.
Thanks for breaking that down, Reggie.
Thank you for having me here. I'm right here next to P. Rizzy, Will Fizzy,
That's a wrap.
And that's Intern Insights, and we'll see you next time.